new satirical cartoon TV show, which parodies the royal family, premiered in the US overnight amid controversy because it mocks 8-year-old Prince George.
Well, the 12-episode series is called The Prince. It premiered in one full batch on HBO, and it takes a day-to-day look at life in the palace as seen through the eyes of the young prince, which critics have said isn't fair.
So, is it OK to parody Prince George, or should the 8-year-old be off limits? We're joined now by comedian Leo Kearse, who says Prince George is a media presence and this is funny and harmless, and by lawyer and political activist Dr Shola Mos-Shogbamimu, who says adult royals are fair game, but it's not acceptable to mock a child like this. I mean, let's come to you first, Leo. You don't see any problem whatsoever with mocking an 8-year-old child?
Well, I think it depends which 8-year-old child you're talking about. I mean, if this is a future head of state, you know, somebody who's born into the royal family, then I think, you know, it's not really punching down to mock him. And also, he's not going to see the cartoon. It's for adults. He's 8 years old. He'll see it maybe in 10 years' time. And so anybody who shows him the cartoon, they're the person doing the bad thing. The people making the cartoon aren't really doing anything wrong.
Oh, come on though, Leo. You know what children are like. I mean, he's going to hear about it at school, and his friends going to bully him about it. He's not going to be immune to what's going on here, is he?
He's going to hear about it at his, like, £50,000 a year school. I mean, excuse me while I find a tiny Stradivarius to play for this prince. You know what I mean? This is a kid born into huge privilege. It's not bullying. Like, bullying would be like taking his dinner money off him, which is actually a great idea because he probably gets, like, £500 for his lunch.
I mean, Leo, come on. Mate, look, children are children, regardless of titles. Shouldn't we be protecting him? I mean, we've seen what happens when we don't protect our children, some of those children being in the royal family, and where it can all end up. Surely we've learnt some lessons from the past.
Well, I mean, I think the lesson would be, you know, we perhaps need to look at the royal family and see, you know, if we still need to be putting people into these positions of incredible privilege, but also incredible pressure. I mean, it's really the title that's delivering all that stress and that bullying and that pressure onto him.
Shola, what do you make of this then? You know, obviously the royal family are public figures, but for you think when it comes down to the children that's where you draw a line?
Well, I respectfully disagree with Leo. Let's understand this. Bottom line, children are off limits. Creating a parody to poke fun at an 8-year-old is not funny. It's uncalled for, and it goes against our collective sense of responsibility. I get people's desire to make fun of the royal family, but you do not need the misshapen, fabricated perspective of a caricature of a living 8-year-old child to do so. HBO's The Prince is nothing short of an unoriginal regurgitation of Stewie's character from Family Guy. But where Stewie was an over-intelligent smartass who got the better of his family, The Prince, depicting George, is an over self-inflated, I don't know, unintelligent, dumb, you know, comes across as a dumb child who is tone deaf and has no understanding of his environment. This is practically casting aspersions on his character. This is not funny. And you know what? It makes us all look like a bunch of hypocrites. Here we are as a society claiming to teach children to not be bullies, claiming to tell children to be careful how they speak of each other, not to make up stories. But then as adults, we do exactly what we tell children not to do and say it's okay in the name of comedy. In the name of God, this makes no sense. And let me just correct Leo. Children will watch this because adults in their families will be watching it. And that means, yeah, George will hear about it. And let me also add, I do not know where everyone's sense of humor is, but my sense of humor will never be at the expense of a child. We are creating the wrong precedent here. This is not just about George, this is about any child, and it's also teaching children who will see this that it's okay to do this. It is wrong. It is not funny. There's no justification for it.
I mean, I wonder how Kate and William feel about it. I mean, I don't think I would like it if my child was the subject of, you know, a comedy.
I cannot imagine the kind of conversation Kate and William will probably have to have with George at some point when he comes across this. Because how is a child to understand why you are poking fun at him when you don't know who he is, you don't know anything about him, and you're simply poking fun at him because he was born in a family? That makes no sense. I mean, this, as far as I'm concerned, Kate and William are like any other parents, just like us. How would you explain that to your child, that simply because you're in the public eye, somebody somewhere thinks it's okay, it's fair game to, to make fun of them? I think it is wrong. It is not acceptable behavior. It is not necessary behavior. If you want to poke fun at members of the royal family, there are enough adults in the royal family who've made mistakes, who've made dumbass mistakes, who've created enough material for comedy for a lifetime. Go after them, but leave the child the heck alone.
Leo, what about then the fact that, Prince George didn't choose the life that he was born into? Shola's making the point there that we should be sending out the right message to children. We should be protecting children.
Yeah, George didn't choose the life he's been given, but I mean, his parents have, if they want him to not have any media presence, I mean, they can hardly be calling for privacy and calling for people to not make fun of him, and then have a 58-page hello spread with so many pictures of him. They thrust him into the media spotlight, which was, very much their choice. I know it's what happens with royals, but you could take a step back and not do that.
With all due respect, Leo, you have this totally wrong, and you're conflating two issues. Putting out pictures of your child, of any child, does not give you or I any justification to make fun of that child. If you do not want to see the child's picture, do not read the Hello magazine or whatever magazine the child is in. And besides, there's a collective responsibility here. I would expect to treat George the same way I expect other people to treat my kids. It's common sense. I get it's not common, but honest to God, it's the right thing to do. We need to create safe boundaries for children, for them to be able to grow, to make mistakes, make right choices, and grow up, hopefully, to become good citizens of our society. But poking fun at an 8-year-old who you do not know is not funny. It's irresponsible.
The 8-year-old doesn't know. I mean, no, like this is a cartoon for adults.
He will know, Leo. He will know. I've told you this already. Children will watch what adults in their homes watch. So when
That's
Family Guy
nonsense. That is nonsense. Children don't watch. We've got like parental locks.
Children were watching Family Guy because adults were watching Family Guy. Children were watching South Park because adults were watching South Park. So yeah, George is going to hear about this. George is probably going to see it on YouTube. Heck yes, I bet he has access to that too, because he's friends. You have no idea what kind of conversations go on the playground.
What you're saying is we need to bring back stricter parenting.
If we as adults are teaching children that it's okay to make up stories about other children, that's what they're going to be doing to George. That's what they could possibly be doing to our children. It's not right.
Dr. Shola, is it fair to also bring Prince George into the Harry and Meghan arguments? Because there is a section of the clip that was released where he gets sent something from his auntie and uncle and he basically turns his nose up at it.
Okay, look, I haven't watched this, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to. I just saw the trailer. As far as I'm concerned, bottom line is keep George out of it. Harry and Meghan, Kate, William, Harry and Meghan, and every other drama coming out the royal family has jack all to do with an 8-year-old boy. He only turned 8 last week. Leave him the heck alone. Whichever twist people want to bring into it is not relevant. He does not and should not be the subject of any kind of abuse, any kind of, poking fun, any kind of bullying, any kind of mischaracterization. It's simply wrong.
OK, well, listen, we're going to have to leave it there. Dr Shola Mos-Shogbamimu and also Leo Kearse, thanks very much for joining us this morning.